For all of you who listen to MacEast Second Floor Studios presents Submersion and own an Android device, do me a favor. Go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android device. I use the app and I love it. I can search for the podcasts I want to listen to, select them as favorites, and have them all just a click away. Make sure to set MacEast Second Floor Studios as a favorite so you don't miss any of our new episodes. Again, the app is the Podcast Republic app, available on Android devices. Episode 42. Woo! And oh my gosh, is it chilly?
It's a little chilly in here.
Oh gosh, Brom, it's a little chilly out here.
Never meant to be so cold. Never meant to be. What I really meant to say is I'm sorry for the way I am.
I didn't know. Was that now it's over?
That's over.
Wow.
It is officially Cold War month. Woo!
You better be able to record that and not make me do that every week.
No, we'll record it and we'll play it.
We want to see how you progress week to week.
Right.
It was pretty incredible.
By the end, you're like a professional singer. Or you've blown out your voice box or whatever.
You're either going to be on television competing on one of those shows or just a guy in a bar telling a story about how he used to sing on a podcast. And
I got to be the most
nobody appreciated it.
I'm the most tone deaf person I've probably ever met.
No, that's great. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
You got tone.
Thank you. Appreciate it. First time I've ever heard that.
Well, anyways, it is Cold War month. We've progressed from what was the one before? World War II? Two-time World War II champ.
Yeah, we had that.
And Japanese movie month.
Then we did a
Japanese movie month.
And we did the in-between. We did Hunter Killer as kind of a live transition to Cold War. And it's been a little while since the last time we did a Cold War, obviously. And so, yeah.
Here we are.
It's pretty exciting to get into these strategic kind of stalemates, a lot of stalemates, probably less torpedoes, less, maybe not less fires and leaks and stuff if someone's chased way down in crush depth, but
more tension,
a lot
of standoffs,
and definitely just generally colder, more frigid.
It is, yeah.
Which actually is true for this movie.
This is a cold one.
Yeah, it is.
Greenland, right?
Greenland, yes.
It is.
Yeah.
And who doesn't know what movie takes place off the coast of Greenland with subs?
Everyone knows that one.
Mm-hmm. But just in case they don't, Brom, what did we watch?
Dive.
Shoot.
Ooga. All right.
There we go. Dive.
It's never good things take time.
Yeah, it's a ramshackle production over here.
Yeah, it is. What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the eighth wonder of the modern world. MacEast Second Floor Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains, Alex the Mustard Man, the artist formerly known as Brom, Jamie the Brain, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion. All right. Brom, what did we watch this week?
We watched 1965's The Bedford Incident.
Oh, yes, we did. And I thought at this time in our lives, I mean, I wasn't born yet, I guess, but in cinema history, I thought we'd be done with black and white movies.
You would think. Although this came out only a year after Dr. Strangelove, another Cold War film, and it was also black and white. So
Ooh.
I think it was kind of that in-between time of people choosing to do their black and white. I mean, Woody Allen.
More artistic.
Woody Allen had Manhattan, and that was all black and white. That kind of stuff. So,
I mean, some people still do it today.
Yeah.
But, is what it is. Anyway, like Brom mentioned, a 1965 submarine film stars Richard Widmark. Yeah,
sort of. Yeah, submarine-ish film.
I loosely use that term with this movie. Stars Richard Widmark as Captain Aaron Finlander, and his name was spelled E-R-I-N.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Sidney Poitier as... I probably didn't say that right, did I?
What?
Close.
Sidney Poitier?
Oh, okay. As Ben Munsford, James MacArthur as Ensign Ralston, and Martin Balsam as Lieutenant Commander Chester Potter, M.D.
Nice. Yeah, and we also had Wally Cox as our bespectacled nerd sonar guy.
And talk about nerd.
Yeah.
Like, no!
That was his kind of his shtick back then. That was his like character. He was actually a really interesting person if you read about him, because he was like literally best friends with Marlon Brando.
That guy was?
Yeah. And Marlon Brando said, like, if I was born a woman, like, we would have been married a long time ago and would have lived a happy life together. Like, they were like super real. They were like extra super bros.
So this is like the Torpedo Run bromance, but real life.
Right. So Marlon Brando and him and another guy, they had their ashes all mixed together and scattered together.
Wow.
That sounds like it
needs to be the three of us.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, so that's all agreed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
I think so.
Yeah.
Does that mean, oh man.
Let's do it tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Anyways, let's get into this film. How about that one? Do we have any more? Do we have anything else? I don't think we...
Directed by James Harris.
Yeah, that was about it. I mean, I actually really enjoyed the directing in this, and I was surprised to see that he didn't have too many other films that he actually directed. He was a famous producer, though. He produced on a lot of, Kubrick films. So he produced a lot of the Kubrick films and left actually right before Kubrick went and worked on Dr. Strangelove. Even though they kind of have similar plots and stuff like that. So,
interesting.
Well, it makes one wonder whether they started working on this or maybe they just shared a lot of interest. So then they went off and made their own projects, kind of along a similar vein.
They could have.
Yeah.
All right. Let's dive into this.
So we open, as we've mentioned, off the coast of Greenland, in the Greenland Gap, or what they call it, Greenland Strait, or whatever.
Go for it, whatever.
Yeah, the GIUK Gap near the Greenland coast. Anyways, and we see a helicopter approaching and dropping off two people onto this destroyer, right? Was it a destroyer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Called the Bedford. And we see, it turns out to be this one guy who's a doctor. So it's a new doctor for the boat. I don't know what happened. Did they mention what happened to the old doctor?
The captain probably killed him.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, considering what happens in this film, yeah, that's likely. Just murdered him. And then we have a photographer, someone from a newspaper, played by Sidney Poitier, who's there to kind of document for his. He's supposed to be seemingly very famous.
Yeah, he's a famous writer and correspondent and
like photojournalist. Kind of.
He is very interested in the Bedford and the captain.
Right. In particular, it turns like I think the captain assumed when he was coming on there that he was more generally interested in the Cold War and kind of like the activities of the Navy in the Cold War, but we come to learn that he's much more interested in the captain himself for a very, very particular reason.
But we find that out a little bit later.
Yeah.
And anyways, here in the movie, they keep referencing when they landed how rough the waters were.
Right.
It didn't really look that rough.
Really?
I didn't think so.
Yeah. I thought it looked like I would prefer to be inside on a couch.
Well,
drink some hot cocoa.
Whatever.
Right.
Okay, so anyways, one of the guys, it's kind of weird here because it is so rough and they're, falling all over. They want to take the new doctor to this lab.
Yep.
And they say, Sidney or Ben Munsford, you must stay here. You can't leave.
Yeah.
We're in wartime scenario.
Yeah, we're in general quarters. So
right. So he had to stay there. They take the doctor to the lab and they got some nerd alerts in there.
Super nerd alerts.
Did
you notice one of them was Donald Sutherland?
Like
the famous actor Donald Sutherland.
Are you serious?
Yeah, one of those nerds who's Donald
Kiefer
Sutherland.
Sutherland's dad?
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland's dad, the one and only.
Alex got a picture with him.
Yeah, he did.
There we go. Well, Kiefer or Donald?
Donald.
Oh, okay. Wow, so there we go. He had a direct connection.
He was in Bowling Green.
I was like, wait, is that Donald Sutherland? Yeah, it's one of his early roles.
Yeah, there you go. It's
anyway.
going to be an easy Phantom Zone for you tonight.
Oh, it would have been really easy. That's actually off the top of my head. I was like, oh, he was in Beer Fest.
Wow.
I used that one before.
Yeah, so anyways, they are analyzing something they scooped off the top of the ocean, and they first thought it was seaweed.
Well, no, he's like, guess what it is? And the doctor's like, seaweed. And he's like, no. It's garbage. And it's straight garbage. And they're going through this analysis of, and you can kind of pick it up, especially after having watched all these submarine films. Like, they picked up some garbage off of a submarine, and they are trying to kind of track and make sure that they are following what they think they're following. Mm-hmm. So they find out that, they do all these super duper duper extra technical techniques, scientific techniques, in order just to find out that that it's definitely from a Russian submarine because they have really high quality
cabbage.
Red cabbage and oil.
And it's funny because they're like, We just ran the analysis. It's hydrogenated. Yes, it is. It's totally hydrogenated.
Right.
He's like, what are you talking about? The oil, duh. That's what they use to cook the red cabbage in.
Yeah. So they are super psyched because this means they are indeed on the trail of a Russian submarine, and they're actually getting pretty close. Like, because of the Arctic Ocean, it doesn't decay so much, so it's been in the ocean for 36 hours. But that means they're pretty close. I mean, they've gotten closer and closer to the submarine, so they're not that far off, and are seemingly going to head and find it pretty soon. Or whatever.
Yep. And then we're introduced to our captain, who is a total dick.
A dick and a straight up crazy person. Like almost immediately, I'm like, this dude's crazy.
Yeah, you can tell.
And the whole idea of the movie in the end is that he commands this boat as if it's wartime, right? Mm-hmm. And he's following these submarines, but there is this question of what would happen if he actually found and cornered one of them, because it becomes clear that he's basically putting everyone on edge at all times as if there was about to be a nuclear war.
Oh, yeah.
This is what basically the doctor, Sidney Poitier, eventually even this German U-boat captain that you're introduced to, who's kind of helping them track these because he used to be on the other side. Now he's on their side. Slowly become more and more alarmed at the fact that everyone on the boat is always on like high alert general quarters, like ready to blast things out of the ocean. And it's all because he's like a crazy person ready to blow stuff up.
But
he claims it's not, but that's really what
he kind of is. They are tracking submarines in the Denmark Strait.
Yes, yeah.
And one of the ones that they are particularly interested in is called Big Red.
Right.
And it has thermonuclear torpedoes.
Right.
Talk about awesome.
Yeah, and so one of the things they've done is they've tracked the submarine around, but they've also tracked its handler, which are these fishing boats. And they're able to pinpoint which of the fishing boats was its handler by like messages that were being sent. Because he's kind of like put together this crew to be able to be like always running at the fullest gear. So he has like 6 people on board who can speak Russian to decode everything and listen on and stuff and send messages and all kinds of stuff. And then also everyone seemingly can do everyone else's job. That was another thing. That was why when the doctor came on boat, the captain was like super pissed. He's like, I don't want you here. We don't need a doctor.
Right.
No one gets sick. No one ever needs your help. What we do need is read these new things. You've been out of the Navy forever. Read these books because you need to learn how to submarine so you can actually do something useful, like jump on the sonar or some shit.
Well, it was funny because he said, how long have you been out of the Navy? He's like, well, I wouldn't call being in the reserves for 20 years out of the Navy. He's like, I would.
Right.
Like,
he's a dick.
Oh,
Straight up
man.
Dick. He's basically like you running this podcast.
Yeah.
Like a total dick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fuck you.
Basically. So anyways, we cut down and we see that the doctor he's getting introduced to some of this stuff. It's kind of rough because he's down there waiting for sick call and nobody comes down for sick call.
Right.
Except for the former U-boat captain, because guess what he gets? He gets a prescription.
For schnapps.
Schnapps.
And he's like, oh, I've been getting this prescription forever.
Yeah. I was like, what? Can I get that prescription? That's great.
He's like, oh, we're going to have a run on. If I give you this prescription, we'll just have a run on it by everyone else on the boat. And they're like, no, everyone else on the boat is too disciplined. But this U-boat captain needs schnapps. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he eventually gets him his liquor.
Oh, and I should mention right off the bat that I will not be really making any dick jokes because this captain had his dick out the whole time, so it's not even noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was like, I'm ready to torpedo things right now. And like, I can tell.
Yeah. You went from 6 to midnight when we talked about the torpedo.
You've been erect for the last 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should see a doctor.
But he doesn't like doctors, so he's not going to go see one.
Right, exactly. These are all real things.
They make a great film.
Yeah. So what happens next? I'm forgetting.
All right. So anyways, Sidney Poitier, you kind of see Captain not liking what he's doing. Because he's going around taking photos. He's like, hey, put that GD camera down, you SOB.
Right. And he's like led into the bridge by one of the other commanders, but he's like, get out of here. This is not a time for you to be in here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because every once in a while, like their dynamic changes throughout. Like at certain points, he's like, yeah, come on in. You should definitely be seeing this. And other times he's like, get out of here. I'm not like interested in having you around.
He is really, I don't even know how to describe it, man. He's got these wildly different personalities.
Yeah.
But anyways, all of a sudden, we start picking up transmissions from Russian subs, or we don't know what, but Russian transmissions. And all of a sudden, the captain knows He just knows that this is Big Red.
Yep.
And they're up so far north that they're going to try to use the ice to mask their movements so that they won't be able to track them. So there's also this guy who kind of gives a suggestion. Captain asks for a suggestion. He says, how are we going to corner these guys? Well, the guy says, I think they'd be running about 1 kilometer off the coast of Greenland where it's deep enough. And we should stay, 3 kilometers out or something like that. But, he kind of is a total dick about it. But although the guy's right. He says, you're right, but fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm the guy.
It's like the young sub commander or whatever, or not the XO, but the other guy on the boat.
And one of his guys who might be the XO,
I think that's
really
the XO.
clearly
I'm pretty sure that's the XO,
designate him. He's talking to him. He's like, hey, you're a little hard on that guy.
You have to go easy on him. Yeah.
And the captain says, it's a lot of work being a mean bastard. And the other guy says, sometimes I can't help admire how effortlessly you do it, Captain. Almost as if it came naturally.
Yeah. And so
he
he
stares daggers at him.
He was not fond of that phrase.
Yeah, and it was this becomes super duper important. Not only do we see him kind of put everyone at serious levels of exhaustion and stuff like that, but this guy in particular is put on such edge for not only being exhausted later on, but never having any kind of positive reinforcement, only negative. So he is like super tense, super extra duper tense.
Oh, everybody is.
Everyone's super tense. And we even get that from the doctor later when he kind of talks to the captain again. And it's kind of like, I know you don't want me around. I know I'm not like useful to you, but there's so much tension right here. Not only are you running it kind of like crazy with this hostility, but there's no women here. No one is playing cards. No one's doing anything fun. They're always on high alert all the time.
Yeah.
And he kind of suggests some exercises and stuff to relax.
This is kind of funny.
This is when the captain's like, get the fuck out of here. Get out of my face. I don't want to hear this bullshit.
He showed him these isometric exercises.
Which was a little weird.
He's like, grab, release, grab, release, grab. And he's like doing it like over and over. And he's like,
yeah, it's weird.
What am I watching here?
I don't want to see that. No one wants to see that.
Took his shirt off, started doing it.
Right.
Like, good Lord.
Right.
That's the only time you see the captain go to half staff.
Right. He's like, no thanks. And we also see the Sidney Poitier get his character Munsford get further and further kind of I don't know. He's looked at more and more poorly by the captain, and eventually he kind of like, can I finally get like an interview with you? And he kind of reveals to the captain that he wasn't particularly interested in the boat at all. He's not particularly interested in any of that. What he was interested in was the fact that the captain, Finlander, was passed over for rear admiral, even though he was quite qualified for the position, specifically after I think would be the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? And the incident in Cuba, where he was one of the only people vocally antagonistic towards the government and how they handled that situation. Yeah. And so he wanted to see what was going on with this guy who had been seemingly snubbed by the rest of the government. How is he acting? And of course he comes onto this boat and finds him acting like crazy erratically.
Oh,
real weird. And
no wonder he got passed over. This guy's nuts.
Yeah, so they're following the submarine
but something happens.
Yeah.
All of a sudden a UFO appears. And what is it? It's a weather balloon.
Oh, that's right.
But there are no surface
I was
vessels.
like, wait a second. Where is this joke
This is a
going?
joke.
Yeah, it's the worst
I know
joke
this
on
isn't
ever.
real, so where is this going?
Yeah.
No, it is. Yeah, no, there actually is a UFO.
So there's no surface vessels around that could have released it. So it must have been the submarine.
Right.
So then they lock on. They say, all right, we know what's going on.
We know where it is, yeah.
Captain, this is the only time you start to see this guy excited. He is ready to go.
Yeah, he's ready to shoot
boy.
He's ready to shoot some missiles. He would say he's not ready to shoot some missiles, but everyone else realizes no, this guy's ready to blow some shit up.
Yeah.
And they go near the coast and they actually glimpse the submarine at this point.
Yeah.
They see it. They also see a Russian boat, which is, I guess, is like the handler. They see the Russian fishing boat or whatever.
Yeah.
But they actually see the submarine above the surface for a second with a snorkel above the surface. And they kind of chase it below the surface and start trailing the submarine with the sonar.
But this was really funny here because when this drill happened, Sidney Poitier was in the shower in the middle of it, and it shuts off the water, and it just cuts over. You see him just absolutely covered in soap suds.
Super sudsed up. So
I mean, more than it's all over his face and his eyes. Nobody bathes like that.
It's literally all over everywhere.
Yeah. And Captain even says, "Oh man, you just missed the Russian sub. It was absolutely breathtaking seeing that Soviet sub violating international waters."
Yeah, he's really
like, but don't worry, the official photographer got a snap. I'm sure you could use some of his negatives.
Yeah.
Like, what a dick.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And
though.
so they shoot off a quick message to the United States, and they're like, "Hey, we got the Soviet sub. Like, let's fuck them up, right?" And they get the message back, basically like, "Hold off, like,
just track them."
Yeah, just track them. Try to get them. Basically, the idea is just to get them out of there, cool off the tensions, like what you'd think would be the case, right? They're over there, they're violating something. Chase them away, show them who what's what, show them who's in charge, and get them out of there. But like, otherwise, you're not going to start a nuclear war over being in the Greenland or the Denmark Strait. Like,
and you see every molecule of happiness sucked from the captain's face at this point.
Yeah, still had an erection because he was ready to blow something up. But otherwise, he's very unhappy.
It was a very sad boner.
Yes, extremely sad boner. But they continue to track. They're like, whatever, we'll continue to track. And the sonar guy is kind of tracking them along. And eventually the sub, because one of the things is that the sub, because it's not a nuclear sub, it needs to surface and kind of vent and get fresh air. And they're not really allowing that. The sub, I think, for obvious reasons, doesn't want to come to the surface with that boat around them.
Oh, definitely.
And so they're kind of staying under. So they try to lose the American boat by going into like an ice field.
And they figure that the sub has 18 hours, something like that. It can stay under.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. There was 18, but then obviously we see it stay much longer.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's got to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, they go into an ice field, and they're trying to slip away. And the ship's not sure, our battleship is not sure if the sub is going to be able to go underneath the iceberg and get away from them, if they're going to be able to corner them.
Yeah, there's some really huge ones. So they're not even sure the submarine could go deep enough to get under like certain icebergs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So eventually they get into a spot where they seem like maybe they've lost the submarine. They kind of lose them in the ice. And it's either the submarine is right in that area and they can just sit there, or it got to the other side of the iceberg, in which case they're going to have to get like super duper extra lucky to be able to see it. So they shoot off some flares. They can't see anything. They wait until morning thinking, okay, well, it'll surface in the morning, and they don't see anything. And then they kind of just like move off. And this became a little confusing exactly what happened, because they move into open sea. Clearly there's no icebergs around anymore. Yep. Move into the open sea. Eventually they get they pass out of international water, or out of the Denmark, the Greenland territory into open international waters.
Yeah.
And so now even the submarine's not even in violation. Even if they found it, the submarine would no longer be in violation of anything. And so they're out there, and eventually the U-boat captain's like, to the Captain Finlander is like, give it up. I mean, it's just, you've lost them. Like, it's fine. And so they kind of turn around, but all of a sudden, there's a submarine.
Oh yeah,
did I miss anything? I think that was all this.
No, I mean that's about it. The captain even says, really, nothing good will come from this obsession. Right, something along those lines.
It's basically Moby Dick at this point.
Is that a little foreshadowing? Maybe.
Yeah. So it's a little. It's definitely getting the sense of Moby Dick at this point.
Yeah. But we even see the subsurface right near him.
Yeah. So they get really lucky, as he said. Like, you'd have to get really lucky to find him again.
Oh, they get lucky.
Yeah, and it turned out. I guess what they kind of explain is it turned out that inadvertently they were still tracking the sub. They didn't know it, but just by best guesses, they had kind of tracked along, and the sub still hadn't been able to surface. And so, seeing them moving away, the submarine takes its chance and comes up.
Yeah, and it's just puts the periscope up because it wants to check out what's going on. Yeah. And then it quickly dives again. So it didn't even have time to get any air, anything like that.
No air.
It's just like, oh my gosh. And at this point, Captain is off the rails. He's going wild. And Sidney Poitier, like a little detective, starts recording in secret.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to bust this guy for being wild.
Yeah. So they're still tracking people. At one point, the sonar guy, they're tracking the submarine. The sonar guy falls down in exhaustion. Like, he can't even like find or do anything anymore. Yeah. And the doctor has to come up and be like, this guy needs to be sedated. He needs to get some sleep. And basically the captain's like, fuck you, I'm the captain. And he's like, oh, that's right, you are the captain. So I'm not going to sedate this guy. Sorry.
Oh, but dude, it's not that calm. Doc blows up on the captain.
Yeah. The doc's going crazy, but like eventually he relents. Fine. I'm not going to sedate this I'm not going to sedate him, even though it's obvious the guy can't do his job.
Right.
But he wants him back stat. He wants him back on that sonar
as
now.
soon as he can.
And everyone's now yelling at the captain, like,
dude, this is nuts.
yeah, calm down. Like, the U-boat captain's like seriously concerned at this point. Sidney Poitier has always been concerned about this guy
Rightfully
at
so.
this point. And they're at that point kind of afraid what would happen if they did find the submarine. What's going to actually happen?
Yeah.
And what happens?
Well, all right. So it comes up and
It surfaces because it has to.
they have no air.
Yeah.
Captain has one of the translators come up and they send a message that's like, if you don't answer our question or our response, our message, sorry, what am I even saying? If you don't answer our message, we're going to blow you up.
Right.
I mean, we're going to have to consider you hostile.
I did like this part because they were kind of like shooting out this message.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did like from the outside. And there's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, how is the submarine even? But I think it was an underwater message.
Oh, yeah. So you couldn't understand anyway. So the sub obviously does not respond.
No.
And the captain says, well, guess what? We're going to run the ship right at that snorkel.
Yeah. So
And there's no way we could possibly hit it.
That's like the unilateral. It's like a unilateral decision to fuck up the submarine. And everyone's like, those are human beings on that submarine. And he's like, we're not even.
No, they're not.
We're not really going to hit it. Wink, wink, shrink, 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 shrink.
Yeah.
And they run right over the snorkel. And so
absolutely hit it.
They basically, they're going to, now they're definitely going to force the submarine to come to the surface because they can't, it doesn't even have a snorkel anymore. They just ran on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Captain's losing his mind. He says, he's got this guy, he says, arm the warheads.
Arm the warheads. Although this part is pretty unrealistic, right? Because like arming warheads isn't a matter of being like, arm those warheads. And one person's like, boom, warheads.
I don't know. Was it back then?
It wasn't. It was always several keys by several people all at once would have to turn. Like the captain in particular, it's always been a case where the captain would have had to turn the key kind of stuff. So like it never could happen how it is here. But anyways, they arm this nuke. And
everybody's like, Captain, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He says, don't worry.
I
just want to be.
Yeah, say it.
Yeah.
Says, well, if they fire one, I'll fire one.
Fire one. Click. That's what the guy does.
Yeah.
This is the same young guy who is like on edge because he never got any positive reinforcement.
Yeah. And then everybody's super tired.
Yeah, it's like the millennial culture, right? Everyone needs to get a trophy. Oh, boy.
Yeah. I never got one. I guess I'll just fire a nuclear missile at, without confirmation.
Right. Yeah, should have given him a trophy. Participation trophy for soccer.
And everyone on the bridge is just like, what the fuck?
And they run over and they try to disarm it, but they're like, did we disarm it? Like, we're pretty sure we disarmed it. And they just shake their head like, we didn't disarm it.
Yeah. And then you see it explode and you're like, they just killed that submarine.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, they didn't. Because what do we got coming through the water?
Well, they killed the submarine, but before they killed the submarine was able to shoot out 4 nuclear torpedoes.
Oh yeah,
straight up.
And everybody dies.
And everyone's like, maybe we'll survive. And then the actual film dissolves. Yeah. To indicate that everyone on that boat died. Now, of course, they named this the Bedford Incident, which seems like a little bit of an underplay of exactly what happened. Maybe the Bedford disaster?
Bedford Massacre?
Bedford Tragedy?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, it's just an incident. Don't worry about it.
That's just an incident.
Incidental Contact.
Yeah. That'd be a good movie name.
Incidental Contact?
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be about.
Incidental Contact.
Oh, that seems strange.
It just depends on how you say it.
Why'd you look at me like that when you said that?
Why did I brush your leg?
Yeah. Incidental Contact. Am I right?
Ooh. Anyways.
I thought we'd get to the end of our little timer by those jokes.
No, man, we are... Wow.
1 minute, 42 seconds ahead of time.
Wow, you guys are so lucky tonight.
I know. And considering Hunter Killer, how long did we recap that one?
A long time.
I think it was like 45
minutes. You could literally
minutes.
sit down and watch that movie in the time we recapped it.
Probably.
Anyways.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
I'm very interested to know what you guys thought of this film.
Who wants to go first?
I do not want to go first.
All right. I can do it. Old classic. So, crux of this film is the titular incident at the end of the film. Used titular correctly this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, it was kind of humorous how it occurred in the movie, as Jamie alluded to, I can't imagine that's how firing a nuclear warhead would actually look. I can't imagine it being one young 20-year-old kid flipping a switch. But that's what happens in this movie. And so silly. Widmark's character says, if they fire one, I'll fire one. Fire one! And off goes the missile. It was so funny, in fact, to me that I had to show it to my coworkers. I thought it was...
And they were like, why are you showing this to me?
I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. It was a very unique narrative structure to build up to this point in the movie. And ultimately this is our climax in the film, and it like occurs like you're like climbing. Holy shit, as everybody literally dying. Yep. And the movie's over.
No.
And there's like
very Das Booty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Das Boot had action and like,
well, I'm saying
climaxes.
At the end where you're like, oh, hooray, everyone's good, and then everyone just dies.
Yeah, I mean, the ending was abrupt for sure in Das Boot, but this was the climax of the film. Like, this is what everything built up to, and it just cuts. And thought it was unique in that regard. It was obviously unique in the other regard that we are on a destroyer. We haven't watched many films where we're on a destroyer, and watching from that perspective, there have been one or two, but not very much sub action, which is obviously what really factors into our ratings and really our enjoyment level as well. If we all really like to, get in some sub action and all of our sub tropes that we're used to seeing nowadays. Well, there was not really any of that in this movie. The acting was great. The directing was great. Cinematography was great. Good in those regards. Not overall, I didn't feel it was a great movie, and it definitely wasn't a great submarine movie. I'm going to give it a 5.5.
Wow.
All right.
Do you want me to go next?
If you want, man.
So I'm going to go a little bit higher, just in the sense that I did enjoy this film, and I think the acting is excellent, just like top-notch stuff. I actually don't know the main character from a lot of stuff. I haven't seen him in a lot, or maybe I have, and I just didn't recognize him.
Widmark?
Yeah, Widmark. I read that he mostly played villains over time, but
I couldn't see that.
This one he was obviously the hero, but
well, duh.
Well, he took out that.
I feel like he could have been the Joker or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be pretty good.
And he did have a very distinctive face. I think it is he's a very interesting actor in particular. Sidney Poitier, I've actually never seen a film with Sidney Poitier. He's obviously one of the greatest actors of all time.
Yeah.
So seeing him in action, it was pretty interesting to see this. I don't think anyone would say this is his finest role or best performance or anything like that, but it was fun to see all those acting performances. It definitely suffered from a lack of submarine action for this one. Just being able to see any of the submarine at all. It didn't surface even once totally. It only got its snorkel up a couple times and periscope up a couple times.
What a little tease.
Yeah. So I think I would have given it a much higher if instead of being on a destroyer, they were on another submarine hunting a Soviet submarine. But instead I'm going to come in. See, it's hard to give it anything lower than like a 7 because I did think the acting was just like top notch. And I did think the directing was interesting, especially since given that it was black and white and stuff, I'd originally thought this film was from 1950. When I started watching, I was like, oh, it's 50s film. Then I was watching, I was like, wait a second. Like, if this is a 50s film, they're blowing shit out of the water. This is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Then I saw it was 60s. Like, oh, this would have been probably right around Dr. Strangelove, which has a similar kind of, I mean, that one's a lot funnier, but kind of a similar kind of step up in the level of like directing and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll give it a 7.
7?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I obviously would have liked to see more sub. I was very disappointed that we never even saw it surface. I like the aspect of the enemy below, where we got to see both sides.
Yeah,
I thought that could have been fun, but do we see that so much? This was interesting just to see the side of the destroyer. Captain, when I was first watching it, you could tell his acting was so good because I didn't like him at all.
You're such a dick, right?
I was like, this is an unlikable character.
No, same thing happened when I was watching Ben-Hur, where there's this guy who I think is fairly well regarded, but not necessarily regarded as like one of the greatest actors of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And you just see him on screen and you're just like, I want you to fucking die. I want you to die. I want to see you die on screen. And I was like, wow, he's really good. Because I want him to get killed so badly.
I felt that way in with Joaquin Phoenix and Gladiator.
Sure.
I was like, this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I was only a little kid. I was
Right.
like, you die now.
Yeah. Wait,
Anyway,
what was that? That was weird.
anyways, that's how I talked as a little kid.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know, it's really weird. So Sidney Poitier, he was great. I hadn't seen him in anything, and I kind of think when I was watching him, I wouldn't be too shocked if like Denzel Washington took some of his mannerisms and stuff from him, because they were both, I mean, they're both phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so I know some of the things he was doing. I was like, it reminds me of Denzel quite a bit.
Yeah, a little bit like in his cadence and how he talks.
Yep. But we're here for subs. We're not getting subs. I enjoyed it. 6.25.
Yeah, I feel like I should have maybe went down to 6. Like, it's
I
funny
don't
because if it was just how much did you like this movie? I actually probably would have been like 8.5 because I really enjoyed.
It's enjoyable,
right? But in terms of submarines, I had to bring it back down.
Yep,
it goes down to that kind of like 7. Yeah, got some stuff.
If there was more sub,
it'd been good.
It would have
been good stuff.
Even just a cut over.
Yeah,
to the Russians, arm the thermonuclear device. Like, oh, here we go.
Oh, well, weird. How do we end
up? The only scene we get from them the entire movie.
All right, so I'm going to do a little trivia for us. Sidney Poitier interrupted weekly psychiatrist visits in order to fly to the UK and film this. Now, why was he seeing a psychiatrist?
Oh, tell us.
Because he had just won an Oscar for Best Actor the year before.
In Lilies in the Field,
Lilies
right?
of the Field. And he was trying to deal with his rising fame. Now, the funny enough, and just to mention, this is kind of adjacent to this, but Lilies of the Field, they made a TV movie sequel to Lilies of the Field. Do you know who starred in Sidney Poitier's role for the sequel to Lilies of the Field?
No.
If you could think of a black actor we've seen in another submarine film.
Jim
Denzel
Brown.
Washington?
What's that?
Jim Brown.
Nope. You missed them both. Steel Sharks. Billy D. Williams, baby.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Starred Billy D. Williams. Anyways, it was kind of famous in the end. Or not really famous, but like this role was one where it wasn't written for a African American actor or anything like that.
Yeah.
And as said by Poitier himself, it was not specifically written for a black actor. That happened through the good graces of Mike Frankovich, who was the head of Columbia Pictures. He was determined to help bring around reasonable representation of America's minorities on the motion picture screen. With James Harris, who was the director, feeling the same way, there was no hesitation between them over my being hired to play the newspaper correspondent aboard the Navy submarine destroyer, the Bedford. The reins of a major studio were seldom to be found in the hands of men with such sense of fair play. That action by Frankovich and Harris again allowed America to see a black actor in a part that obviously could have been played by anybody. And at the same time, it caused people in the industry to ponder the nature of the move, some to raise their eyebrows in disapproval, others to vigorously applaud it as a step long overdue. So this was kind of one of those things that, like, maybe more significant in itself was that than the film in the end actually having impact on culture, because I don't think it's necessarily a super well-known film.
No.
Even on IMDb, it's only got like 4,000 votes or something like that. So
Yeah.
not super. It was based on the Bedford Incident by Mark Raskovich. I didn't read that book. I sometimes try to read books that these are based on because I'm a nerd. I'm in the middle of a 14-book fantasy series. So
Wow.
Sorry, guys. It's often overshadowed by the more famous nuclear disaster films, Dr. Strangelove and Failsafe, which were both released the year before, 1964. Okay. This is all filmed in the UK on British ships. People with knowledge of the difference between US and UK ships and weapons it's easily identifiable as a British ship. As the actions of the captain become more obsessive, Munsford tells him you are not chasing whales. This is a reference to Captain Ahab, the single-minded whaling captain in Moby Dick, which obsession leads to the destruction of his crew. Spoiler alert for all those who have been waiting to read Moby Dick. Sorry.
Jamie,
Yep, sorry.
How could you do that?
Sorry about that.
That was a literary classic, Jamie.
I know.
You just
I spoiled
ruined it
for people. Sidney Poitier and Richard Widmark also appeared in 2 other films together, No Way Out, 1950, and The Longships, 1964. Funny enough, I did read the book, The Longships.
Did you?
Is based on, a classic. The tagline on the poster was, "It's not an incident, it's the works," which is straight bonkers. I don't know what that means.
Wait, that's That's on the poster.
Yeah, it's not an
It's
incident.
the works.
It's the works.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. No one gets it. No one can get it. Scientists contend we may
We
never
know
get
what we
it.
need to ask. We need to ask our parents, who are alive during this time.
It's the works.
If we were like, if it's the works, they'd be like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the works.
We're talking about the Bedford Incident.
Yeah, obviously the works.
All right. James Mason was attached to Star, but that didn't end up happening. So James Mason, of course, we know Submarine Dream happened in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, where he played Captain Nemo. No big deal.
Ooh,
Don't worry about it. Okay. And then Woody Allen was offered a role in this film. Can you guess which one?
Sonar Tech.
Yeah. Oh, weird. How'd you guess that one?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Because that guy reminded me of, if you say put Woody Allen in this movie, that's the only guy I could put him as.
Right. And so he ended up turning it down, obviously, since he wasn't in the film. But using Woody Allen, which of these actors from Woody Allen films would have done well in the Bedford Incident? Okay.
I already got one in mind.
So, Brom, are you there? You ready for this?
I'm here, yeah.
Okay. Diane Keaton. I feel like she actually would have been done well as the newspaper correspondent, right? Lady on
Probably.
board.
Yeah.
What about Tokyo Rose?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, Tokyo Rose. Good one. Good one.
Or we could have always, we've seen lady doctors hop on board the subs.
That's true. She could have been the doctor. They would have been, get out of here, doctor. We don't want you to make. Do you know what? These people, the tension's so high in here because they don't have ladies. Like, or do they? You. What about Jeff
Are
Goldblum?
you offering, miss? That's what the
Jeff
captain would have said.
Goldblum, who had a very small bit role in Annie Hall, where he forgot his mantra. He was on the phone. He goes, I forgot my mantra.
Good Lord. I love Jeff Goldblum.
I just watched him in a film. Do you ever seen Death Wish, the original Death Wish from 1974?
No, is he in
With
that?
Charles Bronson. Yeah, he's the hoodlum who kills Charles Bronson's wife.
Really?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And rapes his daughter.
Oh, Jeff.
And great. Yeah.
Come on, dude. Jeff Goldblum. He's always so funny, but he doesn't mean
funny.
to be.
As a hoodlum, he was not in Death
No?
Wish. No.
Oh, okay.
Not funny.
I just think about him in Jurassic Park or
He could have been
Everything.
the doctor.
He would have been a good doctor. He could have
Yeah.
also been one of the scientists.
I would have liked him doing the isometrics. Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, that
grabbing
would have
the
been
chair.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good. I bet
Good
he
call,
could.
Brom.
I bet he could have pulled off the German U-boat captain too. But
You think so?
anyways, what about Owen Wilson? Wow.
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 I'd put Owen Wilson as the correspondent.
Really? I don't know. I feel like he's the sonar guy. He's mostly seen. He's got such a distinctive voice. He's mostly heard through his voice. He'd be like the submarines. Well, I don't know. I can't do an Owen Wilson impression, but
Other
you
than
can hear
wow.
it.
Try it anyway.
I can't. I just did. It was terrible. What about Burt Reynolds?
Burt Reynolds is the captain.
Yeah, straight up,
100%.
Yeah. Oh God, that mustache. What about Ed Harris? He actually played the main character in Annie Hall, but it was all done using Eddie Murphy type Norbit style full body makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, to play Woody Allen in Annie Hall. So it was amazing. That's why I won Best Makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oscar.
Wow. He's definitely our captain.
You think so? Because then he's a bad guy. But he has played really intense bad guys. Is kind of his wheelhouse.
He would have done it.
Kind of those bad
Yeah,
guys. Those bad guys where you're like, you know what? I actually do want him to nuke the sub. Actually, I do want him to start a nuclear war because I believe in him.
Yeah.
I believe in everything he's doing.
Yeah. He would have been great as a captain.
So, and do you think there's anyone in particular who you would have thought would have been particularly well suited for someone like Sidney Poitier's role or the captain's role outside of those ones that I've mentioned? Some new tandem that you'd be like, yes, that's what I'm interested in seeing.
For the sonar tech, I was
No, I'm not thinking sonar tech. I'm saying captain.
Yeah.
And
but hear me out.
Okay.
Rick Moranis.
Nice, but he's retired from acting.
I know.
Yeah.
But not at this time. He's probably a little baby
What
at this
about
time.
Zach Galifianakis?
As the captain.
No. As the sonar tech. See, this is where we all screwed it up.
Yeah.
I'm saying the photojournalist and the correspondent and the captain. So anyone who you're like, oh, that'd be good. I mean, obviously, I think the main one would be The Rock and Kevin Hart. Duh.
That'd be a funny
What about besides
dynamic.
that? Yeah.
Kevin Hart be the captain?
If they
Yeah, we
fire
just
one,
were-
I fire one.
And the Rock's just over. He's the guy. Fire one.
No. Anyways, I can do a Phantom Zone.
Engage the Phantom.
Phantoms engaged, sir.
I could have done it really easy with Donald Sutherland because he's in Beer Fest, and I've done that one a bunch.
yeah.
I didn't want to mix it up. I actually forgot to even write in the actors for this. I have just like placeholders for this, so I actually don't know who this is.
Wow.
This connects to Hell and High Water through the captain. So sorry,
Okay.
this is through Captain Finlander. He was in Hell and High Water. I can't remember who was in that and Operation Petticoat, but there was an actor who was in both of those. In Operation Petticoat. And we've obviously used that to wild success and acclaim. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but for my Phantom Zone for Operation Petticoat,
Yeah.
yeah, I won the Peabody Award
Oh,
in
wow.
2018. Yeah, the best thing in general, 2018. And then I won also a MacArthur Genius Award, Grant Fellowship. So I've been given $500,000 to study how movies are connected by submarine actors.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Yep, and I'll be spending that in St. Petersburg, Florida, obviously.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Great.
Congratulations to me.
Yeah. Way to go. Congrats, Jamie.
Yep.
The brain. All right. It's time for some subs worldwide. It's subs world wide. So, it's Cold War movie month.
Is it?
Oh, it is. Because it's cold outside.
The weather outside is frightful.
Oh, and
The fire is so delightful.
there you go.
Oh.
That's what I was waiting for. Anyways, so I did a United States Cold War submarine.
Ooh.
The U.S. James Madison class.
Oh, I thought you were going there. Okay. James Madison, that's fine.
Yeah?
Yep.
All right. Anyway, I don't know where.
To my name.
Oh, okay.
When I have my own class of submarine.
Oh, that'll be great. After you conduct the study, you're going to get your own.
Probably.
So these subs were identical to the Lafayette class submarine, except
Oh.
I know. It sounds weird, right? They were made to carry the Polaris A3 missile, a solid-fueled nuclear-armed submarine launched ballistic missile.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah. Yes, you right there, right across from me.
Yeah, I had my hand raised. So does that mean the Lafayette? So it's identical, but the Lafayette did not carry any nuclear missiles.
It did not carry these Polaris A3s.
But just those specific nuclear missiles,
Yeah.
or did they carry other nuclear missiles?
Jamie, this is a question for off the air.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So these are the U.S. Navy's first SLBMs, which were in use from 1961 to 1996.
Ooh,
We were all live while these things were out sailing around.
it's a little scary. Mm-hmm. Like 40 years. So we used to launch these.
Yeah. So they were specially designed to hold the Polaris A3. So these missiles, 35,700 pounds, 32
They
feet,
could crush a
4
lot of
inches
people.
tall. Let's see, 4'6" in diameter.
Wait, what?
And they
That's
had,
taller than me.
yeah, 4'6".
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had 3 thermonuclear warheads. They had a range of 2,500 nautical miles. And how fast do you think they could fly?
I'm going to grossly overestimate. They could fly 700 miles per hour.
All right, Brom.
I will say 225.
8,000 miles an hour. I was like, what? That is unreal.
That sounds like they almost didn't know how fast.
Yeah,
it flew.
how's
They're
it
like,
go?
How fast does it fly?
I don't know. It's like 8,000 miles an hour or
miles per
something.
hour, right?
All right. So anyways, the specs of the sub. It's 425 foot long, has 1 nuclear pressurized water reactor, has 2 steam turbines that generate 15,000 horsepower, can cruise along the surface at 16 knots. Submerged, it can mosey along at 21 knots. Test depth, this baby will go all the way down to 1,300 feet. It held 14 officers and 126 men. Again, the weapons it could hold 16 of those Polaris A3s.
Whoa, what?
So again,
when would you need 16 of those things?
they're over 35,000 pounds. You can hold 16 of them.
I could crush the entire crew, all of those.
It's amazing. It also had 4 torpedo tubes, the 21 inchers that held 12 torpedoes. 10 of these were built. 1 has been preserved as a training vessel.
Oh, no. Okay. I thought it was going to be one we could tour. I'd be like, wait, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one they preserved is the Sam Rayburn, which is SSBN 635.
I love Sam Rayburn.
And you just got to wonder till how long is it going to be till they end up blowing that thing up in some kind of training exercise. Seems to be the way it all goes.
I love Sam Rayburn's work.
Yeah.
He's just great. He's a great
Wonderful.
actor, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Anyways.
All right. Brom, you got something fun for us tonight?
Oh, yeah.
You got any sweet succulent Brom facts over there?
I do got one Brom fact. The role Ben Munsford, played by Sidney Poitier, was originally intended for Denzel Washington, which you guys alluded to and didn't even know, but they decided against it because he was 11.
Oh, that's true.
That makes sense.
It would have been tough. Yeah.
It would have been progressive.
I think the real problem was the hours, right? Because for kids, you can't record like a full. You can't film a whole day.
Yeah, with child labor laws and all
Right,
that.
exactly.
Right.
So they had to go Sidney Poitier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tube 3 ready to fire, sir.
Commence the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give it to me.
But tonight I do have a countdown for us. We witnessed the Bedford Incident, a real royal blunder, if you will. I have the top 5 worst blunders in military history.
Oh, here we go.
And this is a definitive list. I am a journeyman historian. I've traveled the globe. I've studied at many a university, and I know just about everything there is to know about world history. So this is a definitive list. I did not forget anything. Absolutely impossible that I'm missing anything here.
Sure. Yeah.
Number 5. Called this one Hannibal's Avalanche. In 218 BC, the legendary Carthaginian general Hannibal led a massive army through the Alps en route to invading the Roman Empire. To prove to his troops that the chosen path was safe, he took his cane and stabbed it into some ice, very Moses-esque. However, this sparked a massive avalanche that killed 18,000 of his men and 2,000 horses.
Oh, my word. That's unreal. 18,000 people?
18,000. He only had 38,000 in his employ.
Jamie has his hand up.
Yes, Jamie.
So, Brom, I just want to make sure, just clarify for mostly the listeners, because I'm totally like a big brain and I definitely know the answer to this. But these are real facts?
These are 100% real facts, yes.
Okay, because you just confused me with a Brom fact.
Okay. No.
And then you came in with these facts. And I'm like, wait, this sounds like it could be real. And I'm going to be confused.
This is
the listeners,
this
I
is,
mean, because I got a big brain. Don't worry about it.
This is a real fact. Okay. Number 4. This is probably the most best well-known, very well-known blunder here. Stonewall Jackson.
Yes.
While doing
gods and generals. Perfect.
Yes, while doing reconnaissance during a lull in the action at the Battle of Chancellorsville in 1863, one of his fellow Confederates fired on him, believing he was a Union spy. He was struck in the arm, which had to be amputated, and died from complications of pneumonia a few days later, and the South lost one of its most decorated generals.
Yeah. If anyone wants to watch a 4-hour movie about this incident, Gods and Generals is the best 4-hour movie about this.
Great.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. You don't got like an hour and a half or even a little blip like Brom just gave us?
I could let you borrow the director's cut.
No.
The full length.
Great.
There's shorter versions, but you want that full. Stephen Lang plays, that famous actor, plays Stonewall Jackson. You just want to get all your Stephen Lang you can get.
We'll do that.
Well, obviously.
We'll do that in episode 40 of season 18, Civil War movies.
That'd be great. I love Civil War movies.
Oh, man.
Number 3, code word Tootsie Roll. During the Korean War, 15,000 U.S. Marines were holed up in the sub-zero mountains of North Korea. When over 120,000 Chinese troops began their approach on the Marines, a call-out was made for Tootsie Rolls, the code for artillery shells. To the dismay of the Marines, the call was taken literally, and crate upon crate of Tootsie Roll candies were airdropped on the soldiers. Not to be...
That's for real?
100% for real, but don't be disappointed, guys. Our boys over there overseas fighting for America, they ended up using the Tootsie Rolls as rations and managed to survive the Chinese and the negative 30-degree temperatures.
Oh, my word.
Blessing in disguise.
It's a little known fact about Tootsie Rolls. By eating them, it actually brings your core temperature up to 108 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they could sit there and melt the snow around them.
Well, that's why they're
drink it.
shaped. That's why they're shaped like logs, because it's like throwing logs into a fire. That's why they're shaped that way.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
All real facts.
Number 2, the Battle of Keren Sibis. During the Austro-Turkish War in the late 1700s, 100,000 Austrians set up camp around the city of Keren Sibis. In the deep of night, they sent out a small scouting team to prevent Ottomans from sneaking up on the army as they slumbered. The scouts instead found a traveling merchant with a wagon load of schnapps, which they purchased and began drinking on the road. After a while, a second Austrian army arrived, approached the scouts, and demanded some of the libations. A skirmish ensued and a shot was fired. The main campsite heard and began screaming that this was a Turkish invasion. The scouts and the new army tried to return to camp to assist, but were believed to be the Turks. A full-scale battle of Austria versus Austria ensued, and both groups ultimately retreated from the city. 2 days later, the real Ottoman army arrived to find dead Austrians strewn about and captured the city. Reports of friendly fire deaths range from anywhere between 500 to 10,000.
Oh my God.
That's wildly different.
Very wildly different. One guy, I guess, came out of the woodwork and said 10,000 died, and a lot of people have been reporting that number for many years now, but I guess citation needed on that 10,000.
That's crazy. All right, so you have an army of 100,000 people. Is that what you said?
100,000, yes.
It's a 17.
And like,
remember, this
nobody's
is what,
gonna.
1700s?
How is anybody gonna sneak up on you? You have 100,000 people.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, I
not-
know.
not a
I know.
small
You
amount
got
of
the
people.
you got the whole of the Ottoman Empire coming though, and they ultimately in the confusion they don't know what's going on, so they just say fuck it and they flee, and then
But
the
the
Ottomans
population of
just
the
roll
Ottoman-
right in and take the city.
Yeah, the population of the Ottoman Empire was what? Like, 200,000, 300,000, something like that?
I do not know.
I'm
oh
joking,
wait, yes
'cause
I
it
do.
probably
I
is
just
way
refuse
long.
to answer. I'm a well-versed historian. I just refuse to answer your question, Jamie,
I see.
because it is
Look it up yourself.
Probably had a huge population, but
number 1. You guys are going to love this one. It's my favorite one, and it just happens to be subs. Schlitz Schitz. Captain Karl Adolf Schlitt. Have you guys heard this one?
I have not.
Karl Adolf Schlitt, captain of the German sub U-1206, took it out for its maiden voyage in 1945. After he took his first shit at sea, he asked an engineer for helping to flush his defecate here in the toilet. His stool. He hit the head and needed some help flushing, but the duo accidentally turned the wrong valve and released sewage into the bathroom compartment, which seeped through the floor and into the sub's batteries. This produced a potent chemical reaction that generated chlorine gas. The crew had to evacuate in an emergency scenario, and the submarine sank. They were picked up and imprisoned by the Scottish military.
Oh my word!
there should really be a movie made about that one.
Yeah, with the title you gave it.
The Bedford Incident. Thank you.
The Hedford, there we go. Nice. I like Schlitz Schitz, though.
That's pretty
It
good.
is pretty catchy.
That, guys, is my top 5 worst blunders in military history.
See, and that's great because it's not like the classics, right? You're not saying like, oh, Waterloo, right? He totally like lost, right? It's like,
No,
no,
this was
that's
definitive.
That's not a military blunder. A military blunder is someone sticking a cane in some snow and crushing half his army.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, that's a little bit of a blunder.
Or Kyle's future blunder that he has on our submarine.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. Or the blunder that they had in Black Sea, kind of, right? That one?
Oh, yeah.
That was a blunder, right?
I think so.
We've actually seen a number of blunders in our films.
And you know what it all stems from? Obsession.
And hubris.
Yes.
Ubris.
Hubris.
Hubris.
Vitriol.
Oh, well, that's different.
Oh, okay. What is going on?
Pride.
Prejudice.
All right.
Where is this going?
Sense.
What is going on?
Sensibility.
And smash cut.
Thanks for listening to Submersion. Find us on SoundCloud and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Can't get enough of us? Don't forget to subscribe for new episodes every Thursday. And if you like what you heard, please go ahead and give us a rating.
Wait, do you have the sound effects and everything? All
Yeah,
set
they're
to
on my
go?
phone.
Is it all set to go?
No. Do a good call. I'm totally thrown like I'm not in, my dojo, as I call it. So
Yeah. It's going to be funny when my wife comes home and she comes down and is like, oh, what are you guys doing down here?
Sounds like a lot of the
That's what
characters
it
that
sounded
you.
like. Did you have a new thing for the Cold War?
Oh no.
When the weather outside is frightful.
All right, you're gonna do that.
Cold War.
Never meant to be so cold. Never meant to be what I really meant to say.
That's it right there.
Oh, shoot. I forgot we're recording. That's definitely going to be in the episode.